Hey everyone, this is Thyworm and today I want to talk about endgame in Last Epoch, how it works and how to utilize different game modes to your advantage. Enjoying Last Epoch videos? Consider subscribing. Last Epoch is all about time travel through different eras, and much of the endgame systems use that concept. As you make your way through the campaign, it becomes clear that the 4 eras in Last Epoch are vastly different, offering a wide variety of enemies, locations and NPCs. All the endgame systems incorporate these ideas and let you explore everything that could have happened in parallel timelines, in anomalies in timelines, or using timelines to your advantage. Currently, in patch 0.7.4b, Last Epoch offers 2 endgame systems. There is the Arena and the Monolith of Fate, and these 2 will be the main topics of this video. Because the game is still in early access, 4 more endgame mechanics will be added, which I will quickly discuss. First, the Gates of Memoriam. This lets you replay parts of the campaign and enables you to modify those worlds. It's basically mapping in Path of Exile. Second, Epoch's Call. This is a sort of subsystem that can occur in both the Monolith of Fate and the Gates of Memoriam. Epoch's Call lets you fight anomalies in time, and I imagine this to be above average monsters or even boss fights, which yield powerful rewards. Third, Eternity Caches. These are caches that allow you to place items into them, then travel through time and at some point revisit these caches in another era. Because of the time that has now passed, the content of the caches has changed into much more valuable items. However, it has also drawn the attention of enemies which you need to defeat first in order to get to the cache. Fourth, Lost Memories. Once again, leveraging time to implement an original system. Lost Memories start with a drop, an item that serves as the lost memory. It provides you with some sort of quest to enable this specific memory, for example killing a bunch of enemies, because in ancient times this memory, for example a weapon, also has seen many battles. Another hint may occur while fighting, leading you towards completion of the quest. Lost Memories reward active and maybe also passive abilities to use after completing the corresponding quests, which seems very interesting and something that can be expanded on rather easily. For now, let's focus however on the 2 endgame systems that are currently in place, starting with the Monolith of Fate. The Monolith of Fate can be found in the End of Time, which is the hub which binds all eras together. Here, some important plot twists take place. It's here that you can choose your mastery for your class, and it's also the place where you will spend your time when you're done with the campaign. In the End of Time, you find this huge rock. It looks a bit like a menhir. Click on it and you are presented with 2 options. These options signify timelines. The Monolith of Fate allows you to explore different timelines to figure out what also could have happened in parallel timelines if things went a little differently. The choices you make are important, however. Each choice puts different modifiers on the timeline, as you can see over here. It starts out relatively easily, but as you progress through the monolith, the debuffs get more and more severe. You can end up in timelines with enemies that have 500% health if you're not careful. So it's very important to carefully consider which debuff you're going to take. I personally found that this should really depend on your build, but I also believe there are a few overall guidelines that work well. What I always try to avoid is putting a ton of health or resistances on enemies. If enemies become super tanky, your monolith runs are going to be extremely slow, even if you have a very powerful high damage build. Instead, I'm trying to pick options that won't hurt me as much. For example, one of my characters is immune to crits because he has 105% crit avoidance. This character can easily pick options that raise the enemy's crit chance because I'm crit immune anyway. So if you have 100% glancing blow defenses, which means that 100% of incoming blows are dealt as a glancing blow, which only hit for half the damage, you could opt for some damage modifiers, but adding too many of those will get you killed fast. Stacking the Enrage at half health modifier worked also pretty well for me. I don't think 3 Enrages are more powerful than 1, but I might be wrong there. Reducing the cooldown reduction of monsters is definitely an option as well, but if you go overboard they will start to spam their abilities, and that can be extremely tough. If those abilities stun you, for example, you can end up being stun locked and then you die. I think you get the point. It's all about balance and to figure out what you can get away with. The further you get into the monolith, the tougher the debuffs become and the more timelines they last. There is an upside to this as well, because your experience and loot increases as well. It's not uncommon to have plus 100% loot dropped or even more. The experience seems nice on paper, but the monolith really serves only 2 main purposes as of now in patch 0.7.4b. Purpose 1, loot. Because of the loot modifiers, the fact that you can complete Monolith runs really fast, and the guaranteed chest back at the end of time, the Monolith is an excellent source of loot. And the more modifiers, the better the loot. At some point, your entire screen will be filled with yellow and unique items and valuable crafting materials after completing Monolith Run 50. The Monolith is a very fast and efficient way to farm for crafting materials and gear upgrades. Purpose 2. Arena Keys. Only the Monolith of Fate drops arena keys. Every 5 consecutive runs in the Monolith reward you with an arena key. So at timeline 45 you will have 9 arena keys at least. And those keys bring us to the second endgame mechanic, the arena. Contrary to the Monolith, which is a fairly complicated endgame system, the arena is as straightforward as it gets. You can find the arena by clicking on this red portal in the end of time. A pop-up asks you for an arena key. Drag the key from your inventory to the pop-up and the arena starts. The arena is just a wave-based endgame system. Countless waves spawn from 4 portals and they are all coming for you. After 15 waves a new arena setting is presented, and every 5 waves you get some respite. A few barrels spawn in the center which you can break for some loot. You will instantly notice that the amount of loot you're getting here is rather minimal. Even at wave 100 plus it is not much loot. A vendor appears as well, which sells good quality items, and his inventory, like any vendor, refreshes every 10 minutes. You do have the option to AFK farm items here, by just waiting 10 minutes and then see if he sells a good item with 2 tier 5 affixes, for example. I personally don't like these kind of things. I'd still be playing Black Desert Online if I did, but it is a viable option to get items, although it's been nerfed a bit lately and it might be nerfed even more in the future. If you're done looting and selling, you're presented with an option. Do you continue or stop and loot the final chest? Spoiler alert, that final chest doesn't contain anything decent most of the time. The arena isn't great for loot in general, unless you make it really far in, probably around wave 200 or more. So why would you want to do this? The primary reason, apart from being on leaderboards, which exist for both Monolith and the arena, is experience. The arena offers a ton of experience because all these waves of monsters are constantly spawning in a very small area, making them easy and fast to kill. Just the sheer number of enemies you're dealing with here enables some pretty solid leveling. The main trick to making it far into the arena is good gear, primarily defenses. You will need a ton of defenses, protection, crit avoidance and glancing blow to stand a chance at the higher waves. If you don't have these things sorted out, you won't make it very far. I didn't find that necessarily an issue, however, because it is still useful to do the arena, even if you only make it to level 50. You will get a bunch of XP for doing so, and XP equals leveling, and the higher level you are, the better the quality of the loot. If you are, let's say, level 55 and you have 10 keys from doing Monolith runs, using those keys, never making it to wave 100 but getting stuck around, let's say, wave 50 will still grant you around 7 levels, if not more, in a relatively short amount of time. I found the main drawback of the arena that it is rather boring. There is some variety with the change of scenery, some new monsters, and the fact that at some point it gets really hard to survive, making it somewhat exciting, but especially the first couple of waves can be very boring. There are some tips to perform a little better, I found. The most important one, apart from getting gear, is the positioning of your character. If you're standing in the middle, all enemies reach you at approximately the same time. You're ambushed from 4 directions, which at early waves is not a problem, but at later waves gets you killed fast. It is important, in my opinion, to move towards a corner or a spawn portal to manage the waves a little better. By spending time at one of the portals, you can deal with the group that comes out of that portal first, while the other enemies are still on their way to you. By the time they reach you, you hopefully dealt with the first group. Last Epoch endgame is still a bit bare bones, but at least it is there, and the endgame mechanics combined with crafting and build experimenting has a lot to offer actually. And soon there will be more. Last Epoch releases April 2020, so expect more features soon. And that's all I currently have on Last Epoch endgame. Follow me on Twitter at Thyworm. Thanks for watching and making it to the end. I will see you soon. Bye bye.